Do you recommend that somebody with no experience utilize AI as a methodology to perform an alignment?
That's a really interesting question. So, generally speaking, if someone has absolutely no experience with alignment or machinery, AI can be a helpful guide or a supportive tool. It can give you instructions, best practices, and even some troubleshooting tips. But it's important to remember that AI is more like a really knowledgeable assistant rather than a hands on expert who's there in person. In other words, if someone is brand new to the process, it's often still a good idea to either have an experienced person supervising or to get some hands on training first. AI can really help guide them and make things a lot easier, but it's always good to have a bit of real world oversight, especially when you're dealing with machinery for the first time.
So, as you can see, this is one of the concerns I have with this vibe consulting approach. You notice that I had to dig in and ask questions, and the only reason I thought to ask those questions is because I understood the process. Now, it did point out a couple of things that I hadn't mentioned, which included the conditional coupling. So, does it make for a good assistant? Is it good to assist you in remembering things? Of course. I've never said anything otherwise. I do have specific concerns about people relying upon this type of thing and looking for the shortcut. Because right off the bat, if I go and I want to use a tool, like for instance, I'll instead of pointing at other stuff, I'll even talk about ours. So our new tools, the vibration, Empower Vibe, the Empower Current Signature Analyzer, and even the Empath system all provide detailed guidance for people and including answers. Now, are those answers 100% correct? They're very correct. However, we recommend that that provides guidance, and the more you learn of the technology, the more accurate you're going to be and the better you're going to be. And we're building tools in there to assist a user in becoming experienced because we know there's not a lot of experience out there right now. We know that 2020 was a horrible year for the, exodus of experienced people as we have new people coming in. Right now, and this is not saying I'm not believe me, I'm not saying Gen Y, Gen Z, or even I think technically I fall under Gen X. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong. I mean, I go back and if you remember, you probably can't see it, but I wrote a book some time ago, Physical Asset Management for the Executive, and in the beginning I talk about everything we were talking about 20 years ago. As a matter of fact, well before Gen Z, um, we were talking about you know oh, these new people lazy, da 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 da. Well, 1911, the same thing was said about the generation that ended up fighting World War One, and a lot of them into World War Two. So we're talking about what turned into the greatest generation. So the new generation, as I'm talking about this, I'm not saying, hey, you bad. What I am saying is a lot of the experiences left the industry. Most of what we're running into right now, we've seen before. There's no back to basics. Everybody's leaping forward saying they have to do all this stuff without any preparation whatsoever, which is a horrible mistake. Okay, so when we're talking about things like, site specific engineering, measurable outcomes, actual troubleshooting, root cause analysis, and any type of maintenance plan that's going to survive your time at your company, or if you're doing consulting, it requires more than going and asking the question of literally a chat bot. As some of the jokes and memes have been out there, the old Microsoft Clippy, which comes before a lot of you. So basically, it was a little tool that would pop up if you had help questions, and it would be animated, and you could put in your question for the help thing, and it would sit there and type everything out. I don't know, basically like what we're calling AI right now. Okay, so yes, use it as a tool, but you have to be careful. Let's talk about some examples. Okay, so first example, we walk in and uh, you know this company had repair shops and consultants and everybody else in there, and they're all looking at everything. And this is one, if you've been following me at all last year, you know that it was like weekly last year when we were in the field. It would be, oh my God, there's no inverter rated cable between a drive and a motor. And we're not talking about small motors, we're talking about good sized motors, right? Let alone medium voltage. And I've seen this over and over and over again, where you'd have individual conductors down through there, usually with the ground lead in with them, and they're wondering why they're going through bearings. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's part of it. Okay, so cable grounded at both ends, 360 degrees with a shield on it, and then the grounds are placed specifically so you don't induce into ground. This is basic electrical stuff. But for some reason, it's become the norm to ignore. Heck, it's in the manuals. Every drive manual that I'm aware of has which cabling to use, or they have a separate manual with guidance on installation with the cables. Nobody's putting filters on their drives. Why? Well, because the people don't understand that are giving the advice. Worse is I'm seeing that same thing coming from OEMs in some cases when the experienced folks are gone and all the new schools are teaching people is how to use software. There's no practical anything anymore. And so these people are coming out into industry and they're supposed to now be the experts, and all they have, and I blame this on the schools, I don't blame this on the students.